It was back around December 13th that I first started having trouble uploading videos of any kind to YouTube. Anyway, back around that time, I had been to the thrift stores and came away with that Sony black plastic crap tape deck, and this, a much better find, a Technics SL-BL3 frequency generator servo-automatic turntable system. And this table actually needed a little bit of help because the belt was long since rotten, and although it had a cartridge on it, it was none too fancy. It was an Empire Scientific branded cartridge, but I'm pretty sure that came after a time when Empire Scientific was no longer making the turntables that they were renowned for making. So I went ahead and replaced that with an Audio-Technica AT311 EP cartridge and stylus, both of which were new old stock because I think that one's been discontinued. And I got a new belt for it, and that cured most of this turntable's ills, except for one. Randomly, when it was playing records, it would just all of a sudden have a massive drop in speed, and of course ordinarily that's not too pleasant to think about because maybe something's wrong in the clock generation circuitry, or maybe the motor's partially shorted or something like that. But in this case it turned out to be much simpler. This pitch adjuster control appears to be dirty, and occasionally, given time, it would just have little dropouts like a dirty volume control or tone control would, and the turntable would drop in speed. It would never increase in speed. I found a little friend to go with it too. This little thing is a Technics FM/AM stereo receiver SA110, and I wasn't really intending to collect any more of these, but as it happened I found this little fella sitting out on the curb for trash collection, and I just couldn't let it go there because for the most part it's in really clean shape. I mean, there's no scratches on the top, there are only a couple of boo-boos in the tuning dial, and some heathen broke the treble control off. But other than that, it looks and works perfectly. The controls aren't even dirty. And while I wasn't particularly looking for this model, I love this tuning mechanism over here. If I'm not careful with that, I'll push it off the TV, which is not really a good place for it to be. And, of course, the other part of this video, just a little update on these. Get the pocket sun here so you can actually see what I've been up to a lot better. What I've got here are some realistic Nova 6 speakers. I actually found these while I was thrift storing and getting that thing and the tape deck, and they had blown tweeters, but I replaced them. The woofers are in great shape, and as you can see, I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of halfway through cleaning up the grill and getting all the accumulated dust out of it. I love those lattice grills, and these are great sounding speakers. They don't need a lot of power to put out a lot of sound. It's quite incredible what they'll do. And I actually ended up using Parts Express Dayton Loudspeaker Company tweeters to fix these speakers, as those of you who watched that video will no doubt remember. Anyway, my pocket sun is running down, but I got to tell you about the speakers, and that's what's important. So let's have a little demonstration of the turntable here. This has been constructed in a truly interesting way. My Sony PS-LX520 table and many others that I have seen all put the tone arm on the same part of the assembly, the base plate, as the record is, as the turntable itself. This one is different because the tone arm actually comes up when you lift the lid, which means once the tone arm has been queued up off the record at the end, you're free to lift the lid up without risking any damage to anything because the tone arm gets locked in place once lifted, and you can change the record without having to wait for it to run all the way back to the beginning, which is definitely a nice touch. That said, without some additional light with which to work by, it's a little bit hard to see exactly what track you're trying to cue on the record if you want to skip over a song or hear something again. Here goes. Don't want to get in trouble with the copyright police. So anyway, come over here and talking about the speed stability, I think it's in much better shape now. I still need to hit that pitch control with some kind of contact cleaner or deoxit or something. But right now, after a little bit of fidgeting with it, which temporarily cleared up the trouble, it's pretty stable on its speed. I see that set of lines down there, which is supposed to appear stationary under the light, depending on what speed the table's running at and what frequency your line current is. It's pretty stable. It wanders back and forth a little bit, but not too badly. Of course, given that this is a linear tracking turntable, the tracking is fully electronic and is controlled by these buttons on the front. So when I press and hold the start button, it tracks inward. And then I can set the needle down with the cueing button. See if I can find the beginning of that track. So it's a little hard for me to do this. A little hard to see through the smoked cover. There it is. Anyway, there you have it. A fully repaired Technics SL-BL3 linear tracking fully automatic turntable.